Every single day, a huge chunk of our lives happens online. But how often do we really stop and think about, locking the digital door behind us? In this explainer, we're going to build your digital self-defense kit piece by piece. So let's get right into it.
Just think about that for a second. Your email, your bank account, your social media, all your work files. What's that one single thing standing between you and, anyone else getting into all of it?
Yep, it's your password. That one little key is our very first and, let's be honest, often our weakest line of defense. And a weak defense? That's basically an open invitation for trouble. So let's meet some of the digital troublemakers who are just waiting to get in. There are a ton of threats out there, but they aren't some kind of science fiction monsters. Oh no, they're real, they're incredibly sneaky, and they all have the same goal: to get into your system. Think of them as the villains of our digital story. So the big overarching name for all these digital baddies is malware. It's really just short for malicious software. The best way to think of it is like a digital sickness. Any program that secretly installs itself on your computer to cause harm, whether that's deleting your files or just wrecking your whole network. First up, we've got the classic virus. And just like its biological cousin, it latches onto a host, say a program or a file. Now, the key thing to remember here is that a virus is completely useless until you do something, like clicking on that infected email attachment. It actually relies on you to help it spread the infection.
And then there's the worm. What's so fascinating and, frankly, a little terrifying about this one is its independence. Unlike a virus, a worm doesn't need a host program, and it certainly doesn't need your help. It just travels across networks, all by itself, making copies of itself, spreading from computer to computer, and often just eating up bandwidth and slowing everything to a crawl.
So, let's boil it down. Here's the key difference in a nutshell. A virus is like a hitchhiker that needs you to give it a ride by opening a file. A worm, on the other hand, is like a self-driving car of chaos. It just goes and spreads all on its own. It's a simple distinction, but a really crucial one. And finally, we have the master of deception, phishing. See, this one isn't about infecting your computer, it's about tricking you. You get an email or you land on a website that looks exactly like it's from your bank, and it's all designed to fool you into just handing over your password or your credit card number. It's the classic digital wolf in sheep's clothing.
All right, enough about the bad guys. The good news is we are not defenseless, not even close. So now we get to the empowering part, building your digital fortress. And it all starts with some simple but really powerful tools.
And we are right back to the key to your digital life. This really is the absolute foundation of your fortress. Using a strong, and I mean unique, password for every single important account is the single most effective thing you can do to protect yourself online.
So, what does strong actually mean these days? Forget those short, simple words. The standard now is all about length and complexity. You really want to aim for at least 12 characters, or even better, a passphrase made of a few random words. And you've got to mix in uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and some of those special characters. Doing this makes it so much harder for programs to guess your password.
Okay, the next layer of your fortress is antivirus software. Think of this as your 24/7 digital sentry, just constantly standing guard. It's always scanning your files and programs for known threats, and it works to remove or trap malware before it can do any damage. This is an absolute must-have.
Next up is the firewall. So if your antivirus software is the sentry, the firewall is the gatekeeper for your entire network. It inspects all the data traffic, both coming in and going out, and if a message doesn't meet the security rules, bam, it's blocked. It's what helps keep unwanted visitors out of your private network.
But it's not a silver bullet. A firewall is powerful for sure, but it has its limits. It can't stop you from willingly going to a malicious website. And if someone steals your password, the firewall has no way of knowing it's not you. So yeah, it's a crucial tool, but it works best as part of a bigger strategy.
So, you've built your fortress. You've got strong passwords, you've got an antivirus, you've got a firewall. Now let's talk about how to actually use these defenses while you're navigating the wide open spaces of the internet.
This is a question we all have to ask ourselves, right? You're about to buy something online, you get to that checkout page, and you hesitate. How do you actually know it's safe to type in your financial info?
Well, the answer is right there in your browser's address bar. Just look for two simple things. First, the web address should start with HTTPS. That S stands for secure. And second, you should see a little padlock icon. If you see both, it means your connection is encrypted and safe. My rule's simple: no lock, no credit card, period. And hey, a quick word of warning about that free Wi-Fi at the coffee shop or the airport. Yeah, it's convenient, but it's an open network, and that means anyone else on that same network with the right software could potentially be listening in on your activity, seeing what websites you visit and what data you send. Just avoid doing any banking or sensitive work on public Wi-Fi.
And of course, there's social media. It's where we all connect, but it's also a landscape full of hidden risks. We're not just talking about things like cyberbullying. We're talking about people creating false identities, the insane speed that misinformation can spread, and links that are just designed to trick you. Just being aware that these risks exist is your first step to navigating safely.
Okay, for our final section, let's go one level deeper. We've talked about passwords and firewalls, but how can you make sure your most sensitive files and messages are truly private?
The key word here is encryption. Now, it sounds really complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Encryption basically scrambles your data into an unreadable code. The only way to unscramble it and read the original information is with a secret key or a password. It's pretty much the digital version of putting a letter in a locked box that only the person you're sending it to has the key for.
And this isn't some complicated spy tech. It's a tool you can use right now. For example, in programs like Microsoft Word, you can actually encrypt a document in just a few clicks. You just go to File, then Info, click Protect Document, and you can add a password. Just like that, your file is scrambled and totally unreadable to anyone who doesn't have the key.
So the really crucial thing to take away from all this is that good digital hygiene, it's not about living in fear. It's not about being paranoid. It is simply about being prepared, being aware, and being proactive when it comes to protecting your digital life, just like you would your own home.
And that brings us to one final honest question. Come on, we've all used a password like this at some point. But after everything we've just talked about, it's pretty clear it's time for an upgrade. So go ahead. What's the first password you're going to change right now?